Welcome back to Billings Less Diet Podcast. I'm Dr. Jordan, along with Dr. Williams. Today we're going to talk about GLP-1s, some of the pros, some of the cons, and how you can find long-term sustainability with that weight loss journey. So, Dr. Williams, let's jump right into it. GLP-1s. What is a GLP-1 and how does it work?
Yeah, a lot of people have heard of GLP-1s. Mm-hmm. These are the Ozempic. They're called one of the classes is a semaglutide, and they're become very popular for assisting people in weight loss. It kind of got its legs in Hollywood.
Okay. And
all these Hollywood celebrities had lost weight all of a sudden. And in fact, they lost the weight so sudden that they called it the Hollywood weight loss look or something like that, with a sunken face and the pencil legs,
right?
Because of the rapid weight loss. And we'll talk about some of the reasons they had the gaunt face and the pencil legs,
right?
Is because of some of the side effects of the semaglutide. But these GLP-1s, it's a glucagon-like peptide or protein. Yeah. That's what GLP-1 is, and it alters the way the body, the hormones work in the body through a medication. That's what the GLP-1 is.
Now, real quick, just so everybody knows what we're talking about, the glucagon, that's a hormone in the body. And so what this medication is doing is kind of mimicking that glucagon. And glucagon is the opposite of insulin or near opposite hormone.
Yeah.
So what that means is when you are satisfied, right, you have glucagon, right? Is that right?
Yeah. So glucagon and insulin are hormones that regulate the way the body utilizes its energies. And so there's a balance in there. And the GLP-1, the glucagon-like peptide or protein, yes, mimics the glucagon. And it helps regulate sugar. So the medications were originally designed for type 2 diabetics in order to help them to regulate their blood sugars. And that's still what they're used for, but now they're
as a positive side effect is going to help you lose weight.
A positive side effect was the proper regulation of hormones. So what my understanding of a GLP-1, it's typically an injection into your abdomen, right? And it's going to help you feel satiated or suppress your appetite. Why does it do that? There's a couple of different ways it does it. There's one of the pathways for suppressing the appetite is it slows the way how fast the stomach empties. So you feel fuller longer.
Okay.
And so that's one way. And then it also has an effect on the brain, which drops your appetite. So there's a neurological brain component as well as a physical slowing of the emptying of the stomach.
So it's going to help you, one, feel fuller longer and probably cut down on those cravings as well. Yeah. So you can see why that would help people lose weight, right? Because we've talked about on podcasts before, one of the main components of weight gain is that emotional eating pattern, right? Yeah. And so if we can cut down on those urges, those cravings, you're going to eat less, right?
Yeah. And with an appetite suppressant, you're just not hungry. And so you don't eat as much, which is one of the bit of a downside to the GLP-1s is just because you're eating less doesn't mean you're being more healthy.
Yeah.
Because you're decreasing nutrients as well, some of the micronutrients or vitamin or minerals that are necessary.
So let's talk about some of those drawbacks as well. So obviously they're effective, right? And we've seen that in Hollywood. We've seen that in social media. It's really all over. You can't go anywhere without hearing about GLP-1 or semaglutide. So some of those drawbacks you mentioned, nutrition in general, right? If you're just eating less, that doesn't mean you're necessarily eating correctly. You're just burning or having less calories to burn, so you burn fat.
Yeah.
So what are other health concerns that you might have if you're on GLP-1?
About 50% of the people who take GLP-1s have the side effect of nausea.
Okay.
A lot of nausea. And the reason, again, is because the stomach empties slower. And so your stomach fills upset a bit. And so that about 50% can't tolerate the nausea because it's pretty intense.
Well, and I would think, and this is something, again, looking at some of the research recently, when your stomach empties slower, that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting more nutrients out of that food you're eating, right? What it means is you're actually, well, we don't get too graphic here, but the longer that the food or the food stays in the intestine, the more water's taken out of it, correct?
Yeah. So when you eat food, your food goes through your esophagus right into your stomach. The stomach, the slowing of the emptying of the stomach means it hangs on to that food for a longer period of time. And it doesn't mean you're getting more nutrients out of it as well. I'll remind people that the primary purpose of the stomach is to digest protein. It's for those hydrochloric acids to break those proteins down to where the body can utilize it. When it goes from the stomach, it slows into the small intestine, and it also slows in the large intestine, which is where we get our water is absorbed out of the gut to be used by the body in the large intestine. And so constipation is another one of those, not only being nauseated, but constipation is another side effect of the semaglutides.
Right. So you are losing weight, which is correct, and you are not eating as much. Those cravings are cut down, but you might have some nausea. You might also be constipated.
Yeah.
So some uncomfortable symptoms, which,
they can be dealt with.
They can be dealt with, right? One of the concerns that I've heard about is also the type of weight, which we talk a lot about at Billings Last Diet. The type of weight you lose is important. We don't want to mess with our basal metabolic rate, which means when we lose protein or lean body mass, right, muscle, we actually mess with our basal metabolic rate, or the amount of calories you burn throughout the day. And so with semaglutides or with GLP-1s, what kind of weight typically are we losing, or is there an imbalance there?
This is where one of my two primary concerns for the use of semaglutides. The number one is because when you use those semaglutides, you do have a tendency to lose lean body mass or muscle mass during the weight loss. Most of the studies are right around 25% of the weight you lose is going to be muscle and not fat. And that's why you get the Hollywood look of the gaunt face, the pencil-like legs, is because you're losing that lean body mass. So that's number one primary concern. The second primary concern is you don't get a lifestyle and it's not a lasting weight loss.
Right.
But that's so lean body mass is a big concern. Because you're eating less food, you're eating less protein as well. And protein is what helps you maintain the muscle mass that you have. So those can all be dealt with, but it has to be dealt with a proper intake of food or a proper program to go along with your use of a medication for weight loss.
So for those people who are already using GLP-1s, there's a number of people in different and varying degrees. Sometimes some people are using them as I did my research and I found a local clinic that's offering them. Some are prescribed from their medical doctor, and some are getting them through the mail order. And some are getting through mail order. Yeah, there's a number, and they're varying degrees, and we discussed kind of off camera here a little bit about that and how some of those are different formulations as well, which is, you can look at that as a positive or negative, right? Change isn't always a good thing when it comes to medications. And so the concern with that is some of it might be unregulated or unsupervised, right? And the other one is there's not a lot, well, depending on who you're getting your medication from, there's not a lot of guidance on how to eat while you're on a GLP-1. Let's talk a little bit about kind of that aspect.
The accompanying support that's needed for long-term weight loss, along with if you're going to take a medication like a GLP-1 or semaglutide, you need to make sure you've got something that supports it so that you can lose the weight in a healthy manner and sustain that weight loss long term. And there's a wide variety. There are some clinics that are doing good on providing coaching and support, nutritional advice and counseling on making sure you're getting enough protein and that you're developing a lifestyle that is congruent with your weight loss. Others, we'll mail you the medication periodically, and there's no support whatsoever. Right. And so you need to make sure that if you're going to be using the semaglutides, that you get the nutritional counseling and the lifestyle coaching that's needed, unless you plan on just using those medications the rest of your life.
Yeah,
which there's no long-term studies to show how the medication's going to affect you long-term for weight loss.
Right, and some of those concerns are starting to come out when you affect your hormones on a long-term basis, and this is with any medication, but specifically with the GLP-1s, they're starting to see some thyroid issues that come along with that, which the organ that regulates our hormones as well. Some other concerns with the gastrophoresis, which basically means freezing of the intestines, meaning that slowing of the intestines is more permanent than maybe they initially thought. And so there are concerns if you're just going to say this is the medication I'm going to stay on the rest of my life. Right? That's not something that's ideal.
Yeah.
Now, with Billings' Last Diet, I apologize. With Billings' Last Diet, we have come up with a GLP-1 specific protocol that kind of can help marry some of those concerns or meet some of those concerns head on.
So yes, we have a program that helps support those that are on the GLP-1s or the semaglutides, and it includes the ideal amount of protein, because that's the number one concern that people have. But it also includes the coaching that is necessary to make sure that you get the other nutrients and develop a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So just because you're taking something to artificially decrease your appetite doesn't mean that you're going to be able to keep that weight off once you stop the medication. But if you develop a lifestyle to where you're choosing healthy foods and you educate yourself on proper serving sizes, then you can develop a lifestyle that will help.
So we've talked about this in the past. When someone loses weight without changing that lifestyle, it's kind of like when someone has dug themselves into debt and then they win the lottery. Mm-hmm. In a short time, studies have shown time after time, they're back in debt because they didn't actually change any of those habits that got them there in the first place. And so if you're using a GLP-1 and not changing any of the habits that got you in that position in the first place, it's going to come back when you stop using that medication.
So if you go back a few years, the gastric sleeve or the gastric bypass surgeries were another popular way of losing weight, and they're still used and they're still utilized effectively. But at Billings' Last Diet, with our interaction with people, we've had a lot of people who have come in that had the gastric sleeve or the bypass surgery, and they've gained all the weight back. It's because they didn't develop the lifestyle. They lost, say, 100 pounds, but they gained 100 or more back afterwards because they didn't develop a lifestyle, so that wasn't sustaining long term. And that's our primary concern at Billings' Last Diet, is not the ability to lose weight, but the ability to lose the weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. So we want to provide a program that allows you to lose the weight in a healthy manner and develops a lifestyle to where you can keep that weight off for the rest of your life. So even if you're using a GLP-1, we have a program that will support that to where you're getting the micronutrients, the vitamin or minerals that you need, you're getting the adequate amount of protein, and you're getting a lifestyle coaching that works concomitant or along with that medication-assisted approach.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Williams, for helping us understand a little bit more about GLP-1s, some of the pros and the cons as we go into that. Basically, as we're looking forward, there are some positive changes you can have on a GLP-1. There are some negative drawbacks that you need to really consider if you haven't started taking GLP-1s yet, or if you're looking into those. And if you already are on a GLP-1 and you're not having any support as far as what you should be eating, reach out to us at our website, billingslastdiet.com, or you can give us a call at our office there, and we can help you get some of that support you might be looking for to help have a healthy, long-term success and not just a short-term gain for a short period of time.